Episode 269, Remembering Whose You Are, with LeAnn Austin.
Welcome to Latter-day Life Coaches, the podcast where each episode is a conversation between me, Heather Rackham, and one of my amazing coach colleagues. Each coach here is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and a highly trained, experienced life coach making a great impact in the lives of their clients. And together, we have one main goal, helping you live your best life no matter what. You ready for this conversation with a coach? Here we go.
What if the love you're searching for isn't something you earn, but something you already carry? In this episode, Heather welcomes Coach LeAnn Austin to explore how to cultivate more loving in everyday life. Together they unpack grace, divine identity, and the practice of turning compassion inward. LeAnn introduces her powerful MORE framework, a simple acronym that helps us minister to ourselves, open to grace, remember whose we are, and embrace the process of growth. This conversation is a gentle invitation to slow down, soften self-judgment, and build resilient love from the inside out. If you've ever struggled to feel worthy, safe, or enough, this episode offers a new way to rest in grace instead of striving. Please enjoy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the podcast today. If my husband was listening, he would say, you have the same inflection in your voice every time, and you sound like you're trying to sing. And I'm like, okay, that's just the way it is. So I apologize if my introduction is getting annoying, but I just don't know what else to say when I welcome people on. Anyway, LeAnn, thanks for at least chuckling at me rather than I'm just kind of a little bit random sometimes. Anyway, I am joined today by Coach LeAnn Austin. Hey, LeAnn, how you doing?
Awesome. So good to be here with you. And I'm ready to break into song here anytime. So let's do it.
All right. So LeAnn is been on the podcast with me multiple times before. It's always a treat to have her. I'm going to have her introduce herself, and then we're going to just jump right in. So go for it, LeAnn.
Awesome. Well, I live in beautiful Georgia. I'm a wife to my favorite guy. We've been married for 30 years now. So just celebrating our 30th anniversary. So fun. I have 4 amazing sons, 2 wonderful daughters-in-law, and I am a Mima to 2 adorable grandkids. So as a teacher and a coach, I just love guiding others to calm their body, to quiet their mind, and connect with their spirit, so that their hearts lead with laughter and a whole lot more lovin'.
And I love the lovin' because to me, when you talk to LeAnn a little bit, you kind of get a little bit of it. You'll get a little bit of a Southern, not really, like there's not really an accent, but she'll say things sometimes. And lovin' is kind of one of those things that kind of creeps out a little bit where I'm like, oh, her roots are showing and I love it. We are going to hit 30 years this year too. Can I speak? So yeah, I know it makes. Do you feel old? I feel like, how did that happen? We've clearly been together like almost once and a half, but what we were single. So it's kind of nuts to me, but anyway, it's kind of fun.
It is.
Well, congratulations. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. You too. That's cool.
Well, all right. So LeAnn, she mentioned she has daughters-in-law. Did I say that wrong? Or is it daughter-in-laws? I think it's daughters, right? Is it daughters-in-law?
Yeah. Daughters. Yeah. It took me a while to learn that. Yeah.
Yeah. And she has been on in the past. We've talked about that daughter-in-law relationship, which can be for some kind of tricky, and not that it is for you, LeAnn, but you have taught us some really great things as far as that goes. So if you haven't listened to any of those episodes, make sure you go back and grab some of those. But what we will talk about today, we'll cross over into that niche a little bit, but it's helpful in every relationship. So we get to talk about more loving today. And I want to know what you think people are really longing for when they say they just want more love or more connection in their life.
Yeah. Well, a lot of us are moving fast and we're striving and we try and do it, quote, right. And more loving is really a longing to just rest in grace instead of thinking that we need to earn our worthiness. So more loving is really a desire to feel safe and seen and loved by God and by others, and definitely within ourselves, just to belong as we are, not as we think we, quote, should be.
That phrase, like earn our worthiness, is so deep seated in our society. I'm doing a master's program right now, and I'm taking a survey of Christianity class, and we've spent like the last week talking about that idea, like kind of where the roots of where that comes from. And it is really deep seated in the Christian church. Like it's connected to grace. It's connected to where grace comes from. Is there really grace? Can Jesus really offer us grace? But if we think about that, if we think we can earn grace, then we can unearn grace, right? And if we can unearn grace, that means then that we have to do something to prove our worthiness. And I think it's so interesting to look at all of that, because it like that was thousands of years ago when that debate started, is like, what is grace? Does it have to be earned? And it is still trickles around in our beliefs today, and it gets really tricky and really messy.
It does. It does. Yeah. That's cool that you guys are talking about it and learning about it too. That
Yeah, it is. It's kind of been interesting, but just knowing that love is like, it's something that we all have the ability to feel, we all have the ability to give, and we all have the ability to create more of it in our life, is so it's so valuable to recognize that.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that I have learned most through my coaching journey is that most of us think that, like we said, that we can earn love, like that we have to somehow prove ourselves in order to have it. So we look outwards, right? Like we don't even look inside of ourselves, but we look to somebody else to prove that we are worthy of loving, that we are worthy of having love. And I am wondering why you think that self-directed love, that ability to just love from within, is often the hardest place for us to start.
Well, I think self directed love is hard because most of us were never taught that it was safe or spiritual to turn love inward. We learned how to serve, we learned how to give and how to sacrifice, but not always how to receive or tend to our own hearts. So, loving ourselves can feel a little unfamiliar or even wrong, even though it was never meant to be that way. And I also think it's hard because self love requires us to really believe that our worth is already secure. We don't have to earn it. And we don't have to earn love through achievement or perfection or approval. And that can be really uncomfortable because striving feels familiar, and resting in that grace space takes trust. And even on a physiological level, when we're stressed or we're overwhelmed, our brains are wired to look outward for safety and validation. So it really makes sense that we seek to love through relationships or accomplishments. And then self directed love often requires us to slow down, to be present, to listen, and that can feel really vulnerable. So I don't see self directed love as selfish. I know sometimes people do. I see it as stewardship. If my body, mind, and spirit are gifts from God, then caring for them with kindness is really part of honoring Him. And when I'm more loving towards myself, then I'm actually more available to love and to connect with others.
I really like that connection of it being stewardship. I don't think I've ever really thought
Mhm.
of it that way, but yeah, are we and if we have stewardship of something, then it feels like it's something we want to protect. We want to cultivate so that we can be a good steward of that. And so yeah, looking at it that way, am I being a good steward of the love that's inside of me just because I'm a human being, right? I'm divine. I come from heavenly parents, and so I have divine love inside of me. And am I being a good steward of that for myself and for other people? Because we can't really love other people and support them unless we're being a good steward of that love that's inside of us. That's a
Yes, for
fantastic
ourselves.
a connection there. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned it earlier, and well, maybe you didn't mention it on here. Maybe you mentioned it. We jumped on Instagram right before we started recording the podcast. But that you have an acronym, and you always are good for acronyms here, which is fantastic because it really helps us to remember the things that you share with us. But you have an acronym for us today, and I would love for you to share it with us. Give us a little glimpse.
Absolutely. Well, something that I keep coming back to in my own life is more loving and not more doing and not more fixing and not more striving, just more loving. And President Uchtdorf says God's love is there for you, whether or not you feel you deserve it. So again, more loving isn't more doing, it's noticing, it's pausing, it's offering yourself compassion. And just like, and I know I mentioned this on other podcasts before, just like the 2/3 great commandments, love God, love others, and love me. So to break this down, just to make it easier, I did an acronym for MORE. So anytime you want to add more loving into your life, you can think of the word more. And M stands for minister, but I'm talking about minister to yourself. We talk a lot about ministering in the church, and for a good reason. But we want to turn that ministering, that gentle attention inward, minister to yourself. And what's key to remember here is when we take care of and minister to ourselves, like I said before, it makes it so much easier to do this for others. And I mentioned this quote before, but I could just say this all the time. In General Conference a few years back, Elder S. Gifford Nilsson, he shared this beautiful thought. Our Heavenly Father wants us to love ourselves and to see ourselves as He sees us. We are His cherished children. When this truth sinks deep into our hearts, our love for God grows. When we view ourselves with sincere respect, our hearts are open to treat others that way too. The more we recognize our divine worth, the better we understand this divine truth that God has sent us right here, right now, at this momentous time in history, so that we can do the greatest possible good with the talents and gifts we have. This is our time. So when you're adding some more loving into your life, remember that the M in more is to minister not only to others, but to yourself.
Is fantastic. Another one of the things that we've been discussing in my recent class, and it's through a Christian university, so it doesn't always connect the LDS lingo of things, of course, but that ministering is presence. And I love looking at it that way. And when you look at it this way too, like you add that presence with yourself. Presence with yourself gives you the curiosity and the love that you need to just understand the moment that you're in, why you feel the way you feel, and what you can do to add more love to any situation. But then also it gives you the ability to be present with other people. And that is what ministering is being present with ourselves and people around us. So thank you for bringing that up. I think that's a really fantastic point to look at. Okay, what's the next one?
Yeah, O is for open. Open your heart to grace. So many of us believe in grace, but still live like everything depends on us. And in 2 Corinthians 12:9, it reads, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. So remember, grace doesn't wait for strength. It meets us in weakness. Grace isn't a reward for getting it, quote, right. It is help along the way. And one of my very favorite nervous system tools that Leah Davidson, I love learning all things about nervous system from her, but the physiological sigh. I've heard it from Andrew Huberman as well. But basically, you just inhale through your nose twice. You do a long one and then a little quick second sip of air at the top, and then a really long, slow exhale through your mouth. And this breath just tells our body that we are safe enough right now, and it helps calm us down. And so one more thing to try if you're doing the physiological sigh, as you exhale, imagine just making room for grace instead of pressure. You're just opening up to that grace and that presence. And that's another way, opening your heart up to grace creates more loving in your life.
Yeah. Grace I think is a word that we've embraced more in our LDS theology in the last handful of years. There used to be, I'll get the phrasing wrong, but it was kind of like our actions, yes, our actions are important, but thinking that we put so much emphasis on our actions kind of seemed to negate that we all have Jesus Christ's grace has been given to us. We like salvation is already ours. There's nothing we can do to earn it, and thinking that we can negates the whole purpose of his life. And so recognizing that we are worthy and we have all the things, kind of what we talked about before, has been a big learning curve for me, recognizing that it's already there. Yes, my actions are important, but it's not because I'm trying to earn something. It's because I'm trying to be me. I'm trying to discover what's inside of me and what I can offer the world. Anyway, I love bringing that conversation of grace into the topic of love in general. I just think it's so important because we can't access love if we think it's coming. I think love is coming from a different place if we're feeling like if we're being commanded to love, or that we have to do that because we're trying to earn something. It feels very different.
Yes, yes. Well, and grace invites us to stay open,
Mhm.
it does, to let ourselves be loved as we are, not who we think or other people think we should be. So
Mhm.
just shifting that alone, being open to that, can make a huge difference.
Yeah. It's like it takes the judgment. It it helps take the judgment out of our lives, and when we don't have judgment, we are able to love more freely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, R. What you got for
Our
R?
Yeah,
We
our
should probably
is
play a game and see if I can guess what it is, but we're not gonna do that.
what is art? Yes. Do you wanna guess, Heather?
No, I don't.
Okay, okay. So remember whose you are. Remember is R. When life gets loud, it's easy to forget this. And President Jeffrey R. Holland reminded us, however many chances you think you have missed, you have not traveled beyond the reach of divine love. I love that. Our identity does not fluctuate with our productivity, our obedience, or our emotional state. Remembering whose you are brings steadiness when life feels shaky.
Found myself, like, wanting to close my eyes when you were saying that statement, that quote. I just wanted to, because 'cause I've heard it before, and it's just instantly calming to be reminded of whose we are. That's really sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, E.
Yeah. Okay. Jumping to E is embrace. Embrace the process. And this might be the hardest one. We want healing to be quick. We want answers to be clear. We want growth to look linear. But the Lord works in processes, line upon line, precept upon precept, season by season. So, embracing the process means trusting that God is not rushed or disappointed with our timeline. It means allowing ourselves to be unfinished and faithful at the same time. More Levin says, I can be learning and still be loved. I can be growing and still be enough today.
I can be okay, say that one again. I can be the one with finished, like, not finished. I need you to repeat it because it was good, but I'm not remembering
Yeah.
it.
I know. And I'm like, wait, oh, I can be allowing yourself to be unfinished and faithful at the same
That's what it
time.
is. That is
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
We always think that we have, like, I will be like, once I reach this point, then I'll be accomplished, or I'll be worthy, or once I do this, then I will be able to love myself, or once I look like this, then I'll be happy with who I am. And ooh, like, just learning that like that I don't ever want to be there. I don't ever want to be to this point of, like, I've accomplished, because the growth is in that faith, is in that process. Like, I love the word process there that you used to, right? The growth that we experience comes in the process of things. I love to grow, and think we all do as human beings. That's like in our nature. Yeah, it's good. I loved that quote.
Yeah. Yeah. The process it slows us down. So embracing that process It just slows us down to notice the patterns, to soften our nervous
Mhm.
system, and to really practice that self-compassion right now in real time. And that repetition is what makes love durable. So, yeah, for sure.
For some reason, when you say process, the word habit is coming to my mind. Do you see, like, is there room for habits in the process of love, of having more love in our lives? I don't know why I'm asking that, but it just, like, came to my mind for a second. I think because
Yeah,
I'm a habit person. I like habits.
yeah. Absolutely, and I think that's in part of embracing the process is creating
Mm,
those habits or those little small things that help us move to where we wanna be. So, yeah, I think creating those little habits, not thinking that we have to do this grandiose thing, but doing those little daily things that help us connect with ourselves, that's gonna create more love in our world. Absolutely.
yeah, and which also gives more, I think, more meaning to, sometimes we look at things as being a checklist, right? Like, we need to do this and this and this, read our scriptures, say our prayers, and they do start to feel heavy, but when you can start to see them as being part of the process of creating more love in my life, finding more love for myself, connecting myself to the love of God, I think it gives more meaning to those things.
100%.
Okay, so how does opening our hearts to grace, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit, about how does it open us to more, to experience love in our everyday life? I think particularly as we're in seasons of failure, or when we are exhausted, or when we don't feel like we're enough. Let's talk about that just a little bit more, where grace comes into play there.
Yeah, well, and I'm not positive I mentioned this before or not, but when we're tired or we're struggling, our instinct is often to just close our hearts. So to
Mm,
hide things, to fix, quote, fix, or to push harder. So grace that invites us to stay opened instead and to let
okay.
ourselves be loved. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
you didn't
And
mention
then
that, and that's a good point. I am, like, the queen of that when I totally retreat and withdraw from
Mhm.
people when I, am experiencing that, which is, like, the opposite of, and sometimes we do need that depending upon personality types. We do, it's okay to take a step back and give ourselves a moment, but when it gets in the way of us being who we wanna be in relationship to other people, then that's where we have to take a look at that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and being open to a different way perhaps, or just shifting a little bit, because grace helps our bodies soften enough to receive that reassurance. And it's not just a spiritual experience, it's also a physiological one. Just that openness in our own bodies.
Yeah.
There's
So, in this situation, grace to me is looking like, and maybe this is, I don't know, maybe you see it differently, but grace in situations like this seems to come in phrases that I might speak to myself, like, "It's okay that I'm experiencing this. It's okay," like, I don't know, like, do you get what I'm saying? Is it in moments like that, like, we're feeling something, but also it's in actually speaking something, offering grace to ourself is through the things we speak to ourselves, which sometimes are not very kind. But I don't know, what would you say about that?
Yeah, well, I think recognizing that and remembering whose we are anchors
Mhm.
love in ourselves. And when I know that I'm a child of God, love isn't something I have to chase or prove. It's something that I stand in. And when
Mhm.
our identity starts with God, then love feels safe and it feels steady. And it's not dependent on how well we're doing or how others see us or how strong we feel that day. That just remembering that just gives us that place and helps our brains think about what helping us remember that we are children of God and those thoughts that intentional, more and more intentional about. Because when we forget whose we are, then we start outsourcing our worth. And it moves to productivity, to approval from others, to perfection. And then love turns into something conditional. So, it's bringing it back to our divine identity, and
Yeah.
that's super helpful.
So it's taking a moment to pause and remember whose we
Abs
are. And part of the way that
Absolutely.
we can do that is, like, I have some go-to thoughts that I just kinda keep tucked in my back pocket when know that I'm gonna need to offer myself a little bit of grace, right? They are some things that I'll think to myself, or phrases that help me. And anyway, we all have our different ways of doing things, but I do think that it is good for us to kind of know ahead of time, like, this might be something I'm gonna struggle with today or tomorrow, and here's a little thought that I'm gonna keep in my back pocket to help me remind myself that I am deserving, that I've got this, that I am loved, that he is there with me and helping me.
Yes, yes. And that reminds me of Brad Wilcox's quote that I use all the time. I've got this and Jesus has got me. I love that. And I say that to myself so often, even exercising at the gym. I've got this and Jesus has got me. Just remembering that he's got me. Another one that I use, and I don't know if I made this one up or I heard it from somewhere, is I'll do my best and God's got the rest.
Well, that's a
So
good
just
one.
remembering that, I'm just going to do my best and then I know that God's got the rest. And so it's going to work out okay. And I think you're right, Heather, in intentionally thinking about those thoughts that kind of bring us out of that space where we're not having compassion and love for ourselves, and intentionally moving us back into that space. Yeah,
One of
absolutely.
mine is, they trust me and I trust them. And then I've had to add on to the end of it, and I trust me, because sometimes I lack trust in myself to do and to be. So anyway, thank you for sharing a little bit of your heart with us there. All right. Embracing the process can feel really uncomfortable, I think, for all of us, right? When we just want relief or we just want answers, but having faith in the process, having grace for ourselves when we is really important. And I'm wondering how trusting that process allows more, the MORE acronym that you shared with us, more love to take root over time rather than having it be instant. Because, like, when we feel things we don't like, we want to move out of it instantly. And that's not the point, and that's not always available to us either. So maybe you can help us with that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. When we trust the process, we embrace the process and trust it. Love doesn't just calm us down in the moment, it rewires us to how we relate to ourselves. And love grows roots. It becomes something that we carry and not something that we're just chasing after. Most of us were taught to value answers over awareness, but love often grows in the waiting, in the small, ordinary choices to stay present instead of escaping discomfort. And so, trusting the process teaches us that we're safe even without immediate resolution. And when our body feels safe, then our heart opens up. And that's where deeper love takes root. I love this thought. Love that's rushed is fragile, and love that's practiced is resilient. I think that's beautiful. Practicing that more loving creates that resilience for us.
Okay. Yeah, like having and more loving, as you described it, is the way for us to have more love for ourselves individually, right? Like, I'm just gonna, and so when we are
Mhm.
able to have more love for ourselves, and you can go back and use that acronym to see what that looks like, we do become more resilient. We're able to handle the things outside of us that are difficult. We're able to handle the things inside of us that are difficult because we know we have us. We know, like, things can get crazy and hectic, but it's okay. Like, I've got me, and my heavenly parents have me, and the Savior has me, and I'm going to be okay. And that is the whole goal, is to, like, have more resilience in our life so that we can not run away from it all. We're not wanting to run away from life. We're wanting to experience it. And that resilience
Yes.
is key there.
Yes. Yeah. I love that.
Well, thank you for kind of helping me to bring that full circle, actually, like recognizing that it all fits together so well. And we need all the pieces so that we that we can have the life we want to have, and we can have the relationships we want to have with ourselves and other people.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Well, LeAnn, thank you for being with me today. Thank you for your acronym. Let's just run over the MORE really quick one more time. Like the M
I love
was,
it. Yeah. M, minister. And just quick
okay,
questions to go with this. So, M, how can I minister to myself right now?
okay,
O, where can I open my heart to grace?
okay.
R, what helps me remember whose I am? And E, what would it look like to embrace the process today?
A good question. The what would it look like is always really thought provoking for me. Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me those back to so that I could recall them in my own mind. LeAnn, before we go today, can you share with people how they can connect with you?
Absolutely. Well, and I created something to help with this, just a little bit
Oh,
more
yay.
lovin'. I have a free lovin' check-in that you can do anytime. So it's going to help you calm your body, clear your mind, and connect to your spirit. And the lovin' check-in makes it so much easier to lead with that laughter, with that connection, and with that more love. So you can go to my website, leannaustin.com, or my socials are LeAnn Austin Coaching, and it's in the bio there if you want to get it there. And then also, I have a podcast called More Lovin', and it shares a whole bunch of stuff about just a variety of things of more love in our world. And so go ahead and listen to that anytime and reach out to me anytime. I'd love to connect with you.
Thanks, LeAnn. Like, isn't it fun that it feels like your own personal mission in life is just to bring more love into the world? That feels fantastic, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Love it.
love loving. Yep.
Fantastic.
Thank
All
you,
right. Thanks,
Heather.
everybody. Thanks for being here with us. And this podcast will air next week. And next week, we will have our Relationships Reimagined Summit and LeAnn will be one of the people presenting there, but we're talking about all things relationship, and make sure that you visit our socials and our website so that you can get signed up for that, because we would love to have you join us. So thanks, everybody, and we will see you again next time. Hey, we just wanted to thank you for spending part of your day here with us at Latter-day Life Coaches and being part of this conversation. Share this with your friends so that you can have a conversation with them on this topic as well. And as always, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Have a good one, my friends.